children raid Japanese Mafia Cartel.
And joint FBI-DEA task force raided a warehouse in the city's Hunters Point district just after 9 p.m., seizing more than 2 tons of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and heroin. 25 suspects were taken into custody without shots fired.
Federal Bureau of Investigation, Drug Enforcement Administration, and San Francisco Police Department converge on what investigators describe as the operational headquarters of a Japanese organized crime syndicate embedded in the Bay Area for over a decade. The coordinated strike targets locations across San Francisco's waterfront district, residential neighborhoods in Daly City, and commercial properties in South San Francisco. Intelligence gathered over 18 months pointed to a sophisticated criminal network moving narcotics through legitimate import-export businesses while maintaining the disciplined structure characteristic of traditional Yakuza organizations. The investigation began when Customs and Border Protection officers at the Port of Oakland flagged irregularities in shipping manifests from a freight company registered to Japanese nationals. Containers marked as electronic components and automotive parts consistently showed weight discrepancies that couldn't be explained by documentation. Physical inspections revealed false compartments constructed with precision manufacturing techniques containing vacuum-sealed packages of methamphetamine and MDMA hidden behind legitimate cargo. The shipping patterns connected to a network of businesses in San Francisco's Japantown and surrounding areas. DEA analysts tracking West Coast drug flows noticed an uptick in high-purity methamphetamine circulating through Northern California markets. Chemical signatures indicated production methods associated with Japanese trafficking organizations rather than Mexican cartels that typically dominated the region. Street-level intelligence from narcotics units reported new distribution channels controlled by individuals connected to businesses in the Japanese community. The convergence of shipping anomalies and distribution patterns suggested an organized operation with international connections. Surveillance teams established patterns of activity centered around a commercial building in the south of Market District. The property, registered as an import company specializing in Japanese goods, showed foot traffic inconsistent with legitimate retail operations. Individuals arriving at irregular hours, vehicles with out-of-state plates making brief stops, and counter-surveil multiple agencies and jurisdictions. FBI organized the overall operation with DEA providing narcotics expertise, San Francisco Police contributing local intelligence and tactical support, and California Highway Patrol assisting with mobile surveillance and traffic control. Immigration and Customs Enforcement prepared for potential immigration violations and international fugitive matters. Customs and Border Protection coordinated port security to prevent evidence destruction or escape attempts via maritime routes. Tactical teams conducted reconnaissance of target locations to plan entry procedures and identify potential hazards. The main facility presented challenges due to reinforced security doors, surveillance cameras, and possible weapons on premises. Planners accounted for language barriers, requiring interpreters, potential destruction of evidence, and the need to secure financial records and electronic devices. Contingency plans addressed scenarios including armed resistance, hostage situations, and attempts to flee by vehicle or boat. The operation launched in the early morning hours across 12 primary locations and 7 secondary targets. Entry teams executed search warrants simultaneously to prevent communication between sites that might trigger evidence destruction. At the south of Market Warehouse, agents breached the main entrance, while others secured rear exits and loading docks. Inside, they encountered a sophisticated operation with packaging equipment, scales, cutting agents, and distribution materials organized with precision, reflecting the syndicate's disciplined approach. The warehouse contained methamphetamine, packaged in quantities ranging from kilogram bricks to smaller distribution units, along with MDMA tablets bearing distinctive logos associated with Asian trafficking organizations. Agents also discovered cocaine and heroin in smaller amounts, indicating diversification into multiple drug types. Total narcotics seized at this location exceeded 800 kilograms, representing millions of dollars in wholesale value. Evidence technicians photographed and cataloged each package, maintaining chain of custody for eventual prosecution. A side office yielded financial records detailing transactions, ledgers tracking inventory and payments, and communications logs documenting contacts with suppliers and distributors. Computers and mobile devices were seized for forensic analysis. Agents found approximately $200,000 in cash stored in a concealed safe, along with money-counting machines and packaging materials. Documents included shipping manifests, warehouse receipts, and correspondence with overseas partners providing evidence of the importation scheme. Parallel raids on residential properties in Daly City and Millbrae uncovered additional narcotic stockpiles and evidence of the organization's infrastructure. One location served as a stash house with reinforced doors, surveillance systems, and hidden compartments containing methamphetamine and cash. Another residence functioned as a counting house, where proceeds were sorted, packaged, and prepared for laundering. Agents seized money-counting machines, vacuum sealers, and financial records tracking the flow of illicit proceeds. At a commercial property in Japantown, operating as a restaurant and karaoke bar, investigators found evidence of money laundering operations. Business records showed inflated revenues inconsistent with customer traffic, a classic indicator of cash integration from illegal sources. Interviews with employees revealed that management encouraged cash transactions and maintained minimal documentation. The business served as a gathering place for organization members and a venue for conducting criminal business under cover of legitimate entertainment operations. The tactical phase resulted in 25 arrests across all locations. Suspects included individuals identified as organizational leadership, logistics coordinators, distribution managers, and operational personnel. Several arrestees had criminal histories in Japan, including convictions for drug offenses, fraud, and violent crimes. Immigration checks revealed that multiple individuals had overstayed visas or entered the country illegally, adding immigration violations to criminal charges. Processing detainees presented challenges due to language barriers and cultural factors. Japanese-speaking agents and professional interpreters conducted initial interviews, while suspects were advised of their rights. Some individuals invoked their right to silence, while others provided limited cooperation in exchange for considerations. Investigators prioritized identifying higher-level members and understanding the full scope of the organization's activities. Forensic analysis of seized devices began immediately with specialists working to extract data from phones, computers, and encrypted communication platforms. Preliminary examination revealed extensive use of messaging applications with end-to-end encryption, requiring specialized techniques to access content. Financial analysts began tracing bank accounts, wire transfers, and cryptocurrency transactions to map the money laundering network. Real estate records were examined to identify properties purchased with drug proceeds and subject to civil forfeiture. The investigation's international component required coordination with law enforcement agencies in Japan. FBI legal attachés in Tokyo worked with Japanese National Police to share intelligence about the organization's overseas connections and identify additional suspects. Japanese authorities confirmed that several arrested individuals had connections to established Yakuza groups, though the San Francisco operation appeared to function with some autonomy. Information sharing revealed similar networks in other countries, suggesting a broader international trafficking organization. Federal prosecutors began preparing criminal complaints, charging defendants with conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, importation of narcotics, money laundering, and conducting an illegal enterprise. RICO statutes allowed charging the organization as a continuing criminal enterprise with leadership facing enhanced penalties. Immigration charges were filed against individuals present illegally, with deportation proceedings to follow criminal prosecutions. Asset forfeiture actions targeted properties, vehicles, and bank accounts linked to drug proceeds. The scale of the seizure represented a significant disruption to drug supplies in Northern California markets. 1 ton of narcotics removed from circulation meant hundreds of thousands of doses prevented from reaching users. The financial impact extended beyond immediate seizures, as dismantling the organization's infrastructure disrupted established distribution channels and business relationships built over years. Competing criminal groups would attempt to fill the void, but the specialized nature of the Japanese syndicate's operations made immediate replacement difficult. Community impact in affected neighborhoods was mixed. Some residents expressed relief at law enforcement action against criminal activity, while others raised concerns about heavy police presence and effects on legitimate Japanese businesses. Community leaders emphasized the distinction between law-abiding members of the Japanese community and the criminal element operating within it. Outreach efforts aimed to reassure residents and encourage cooperation with ongoing investigations. The operational success validated the multi-agency approach and patient intelligence gathering that preceded the raids. Rather than rushing to make arrests based on initial evidence, investigators took time to map the entire organization and gather comprehensive evidence supporting prosecution of all levels. The strategy maximized disruption and provided prosecutors with strong cases against leadership rather than just street-level dealers. Media coverage of the operation highlighted the sophisticated nature of modern organized crime and the challenges facing law enforcement. The Japanese syndicate's use of legitimate businesses, international shipping networks, and professional money laundering distinguished it from street gangs and traditional drug trafficking organizations. The case demonstrated how globalization and international commerce created opportunities for criminal enterprises to operate across borders while hiding behind legitimate business activities. Intelligence gathered during the operation provided leads for ongoing investigations into related criminal networks. Connections to organizations in other cities suggested a broader conspiracy requiring additional investigative resources. International cooperation would be essential to address the overseas sources of narcotics and financial facilitators enabling the trafficking. The San Francisco operation represented one node in a larger network that would require sustained attention. As the immediate aftermath transitioned to prosecution and continued investigation, federal authorities remained focused on completely dismantling the organization and preventing its reconstitution. Seized assets would be forfeited to fund law enforcement efforts and victim compensation. Convicted defendants would face lengthy prison sentences, followed by deportation for those without legal status. The message was clear that sophisticated international trafficking organizations would face coordinated responses from law enforcement agencies at all levels. Forensic accountants working through seized financial records uncovered a money laundering operation far more extensive than initially estimated. Analysis revealed that the organization moved approximately $15 million annually through a network of businesses spanning California, Nevada, and Hawaii. The scheme utilized traditional trade-based laundering, where drug proceeds purchased legitimate goods exported to Asia, with payments received as apparently lawful business income. Additional layers included bulk cash smuggling to Mexico for conversion into international wire transfers, and purchases of prepaid debit cards distributed to operatives for operational expenses. Cryptocurrency transactions added complexity to the financial investigation. Blockchain analysis revealed wallets controlled by organization members receiving transfers from drug sales and converting proceeds through multiple exchanges before final conversion to traditional currency. The syndicate employed mixing services and privacy coins to obscure transaction trails, demonstrating sophisticated understanding of digital finance. Federal investigators worked with private sector blockchain analysis firms to trace these transactions and identify additional accounts subject to seizure. The human element behind the criminal enterprise emerged through victim interviews and cooperation from lower-level members. Several individuals arrested during the raids had been recruited in Japan with promises of legitimate employment in America, only to find themselves trapped in criminal activity through debt bondage and threats. These victims provided crucial testimony about recruitment methods, transportation to the United States, and coercion tactics used to maintain control. Victim witness coordinators worked to provide immigration relief and support services while preparing them to testify in criminal proceedings. Interrogation of arrested suspects revealed internal tensions within the organization related to generational differences and cultural adaptation. Older members maintained traditional Yakuza codes of conduct and organizational hierarchy, while younger members adopted more aggressive tactics and showed less concern for the low-profile approach favored by leadership. These tensions had created vulnerabilities that investigators exploited, offering cooperation agreements to younger members willing to provide evidence against organizational leadership in exchange for reduced sentences. The connection between the San Francisco operation and established Yakuza groups in Japan proved more direct than initially suspected. Decrypted communications revealed that the Bay Area network functioned as an overseas branch reporting to leadership in Kobe and Tokyo. Financial flows included regular payments to parent organizations described as tribute or franchise fees. This structure explained the discipline and organization observed in the San Francisco operation, as it operated according to established protocols rather than as an independent criminal enterprise. Japanese national police shared intelligence about the parent organizations, including their involvement in legitimate businesses, political connections, and other criminal activities beyond drug trafficking. The information revealed that narcotics trafficking to North America represented one revenue stream among many, including extortion, gambling, and fraud operations in Japan. The international cooperation highlighted how organized crime had evolved into transnational enterprises requiring equally global law enforcement responses. Physical evidence from the raids underwent detailed analysis in DEA laboratories. Drug purity testing confirmed that the methamphetamine averaged 97% purity, significantly higher than street averages and consistent with Japanese production methods. Chemical profiling identified synthetic roots and precursor sources, providing intelligence about manufacturing locations. Some samples matched chemical signatures from previous seizures in Hawaii and the Pacific Northwest, confirming the organization's regional distribution network. Firearms recovered during the raids included handguns and several modified weapons, suggesting preparation for armed confrontation. Ballistics testing matched one weapon to an unsolved homicide in Oakland 18 months earlier, where the victim had been a rival drug dealer. This evidence supported charges of violent crime in aid of racketeering and provided closure to a cold case that had frustrated local investigators. Additional weapons traces revealed purchases through straw buyers in Nevada and Arizona, indicating gun trafficking as another facet of the organization's criminal activities. Surveillance footage preserved from the organization's own security systems provided valuable evidence of daily operations. Cameras installed at the warehouse facility captured individuals packaging drugs, counting money, and receiving deliveries. Timestamps correlated with phone records and financial transactions to establish patterns of criminal activity. Defense attorneys would have difficulty contesting video evidence showing their clients directly handling narcotics and participating in distribution operations. The psychological profile of organizational leadership developed through behavioral analysis and informant debriefings revealed calculated criminals who viewed drug trafficking as a business proposition rather than solely a criminal enterprise. Leadership maintained discipline through a combination of financial incentives, cultural loyalty, and controlled violence. The approach differed from cartels relying primarily on terror and intimidation, instead emphasizing professionalism and operational security that had allowed the organization to function undetected for years. Grand jury proceedings convened in federal court, with prosecutors presenting evidence to secure indictments against all arrested individuals, plus several fugitives who evaded capture. Testimony from cooperating witnesses, law enforcement agents, and forensic experts built comprehensive cases documenting the conspiracy from multiple perspectives. Grand jurors viewed surveillance footage, examined drug samples, and reviewed financial records demonstrating the scope and sophistication of the criminal enterprise. Indictments charged top leadership with operating a continuing criminal enterprise, the most serious charge available under federal drug laws carrying mandatory life sentences. Mid-level members faced conspiracy charges with sentencing guidelines calling for 20 to 30 years imprisonment. Even lower-level operatives faced significant prison time due to the quantities of drugs involved and their knowing participation in the organization. Immigration charges added complications for defendants lacking legal status, as deportation would follow any prison sentence. Defense attorneys began negotiating plea agreements for clients facing overwhelming evidence and harsh mandatory minimums. Federal prosecutors offered sentence reductions in exchange for cooperation, testimony against higher-level members, and asset forfeiture. The strategy aimed to secure convictions of organizational leadership while efficiently resolving cases against less culpable participants. Several defendants accepted plea deals within weeks of indictment, providing additional evidence strengthening cases against leadership. Asset forfeiture proceedings targeted properties purchased with drug proceeds, including residential real estate, commercial buildings, luxury vehicles, and bank accounts. Civil forfeiture allowed government seizure of assets even before criminal convictions, based on probable cause that property derived from illegal activity. Defense attorneys challenged forfeitures, claiming legitimate income sources. The financial analysis demonstrated that reported income could not account for asset accumulation. Forfeited properties were sold at auction, with proceeds funding law enforcement and drug treatment programs.